Good morning all of you. Today we will start our class 10th chemistry. Starting with the introduction. Today we will discuss about syllabus of class 10th chemistry. In class 10th chemistry total 5 chapters are there. Chapter 1st, chemical reactions and equations. Chapter 2nd, acids, bases and salts. Chapter 3, metals and non-metals. Chapter 4, carbon and its compounds. Chapter 5, periodic classification of elements. These 5 chapters are very important from exam point of view. In board examination, from these chapters only you will get 23 marks question. So let's just start with first chapter, that is chemical reaction and equation. There are several topics given in chapter 1. Starting with the first topic, that is physical change and chemical change. Second one is chemical reaction, reactant and product. Third topic is activation energy. Fourth topic is characteristic of chemical reaction. Fifth topic is chemical equation, word equation and etc. Sixth topic is balanced and unbalanced chemical reaction. Seventh topic is method of balancing chemical equations. Eighth topic is limitation of chemical equations. Ninth topic is types of chemical reaction. And last topic is corrosion and rancidity. Let's just start our introduction of chapter 1st, that is chemical reaction and equation. Basically, in this chapter there are two types of changes are there, that is physical change and chemical change. Basically, physical change are temporary in nature. Materials undergo change in its shape, size, etc. but does not undergo any change in its nature. Means it is a type of reversible change in which no new products are formed. Similarly, chemical change. Chemical change are permanent in nature, and the substance present before the change does not exist by the end of chemical change and new substance is formed. For example, like burning of paper. You will understand chemical reaction by this. It is a non-reversible change. In that, always we are getting new type of chemical substance with entirely new properties. Some examples of physical change and chemical change are there. Like turning of paper comes in a category of physical change. Here the shape and size of paper get changed. Burning of paper comes in a category of chemical change. Similarly, melting of ice comes in a category of physical change. Respiration process in anything is known as a chemical change. You will completely understand what exactly physical and chemical change from here. Just see the shapes of the structure. In that process, only shapes are going to get changed. Either a square is getting converted into triangle, square 3D square is getting converted into 3D rectangular shape. Similarly, state of matter means ice get converted into melted ice. So we can say that the physical change is a type of change in which only shape, size of any substance get changed. But chemical change is that kind of change in which the overall composition of any chemical substance get changed, and the things which we are getting after chemical change is totally different from the original one. There are some examples of chemical change which we are observing in our day-to-day life. For example, rusting of iron, fragmentation of grapes, digestion in our body. Milk is left at room temperature during summer. Water is added to quicklime. Likewise, we observe many changes in our day-to-day life which belongs to chemical change. Now we will discuss what exactly chemical reaction means. Chemical reaction is basically a type of chemical change in which two or more than two substances undergo in a change in order to give new chemical compound or substance with completely new properties. Look at example. When sodium hydroxide react with hydrochloric acid, it gives us sodium chloride and water molecule. When we observe this chemical reaction, we saw that sodium chloride is formed, which is totally different from the sodium hydroxide and hydrochloric acid. Similarly, when silver react with hydrogen sulfide, it provides us silver sulfide and hydrogen gas. This type of changes or this type of arrangement is known as chemical reaction, in which we are getting totally new substance with new property. Now let's just discuss parts of chemical reaction. Basically, there are three parts of any chemical reaction, that is reactant, reagent and product. Substance which undergo in a chemical change and unstable in nature is known as a reactant, and the substance which formed after chemical change and stable in nature, that is known as a product. And reagent which help in the chemical process, that substance is known as a reagent. Just understand from here. Here hydrogen gas is written and oxygen gas is written. So these two are known as a reactant, because when hydrogen react with oxygen, it gives us water molecule which formed after chemical change, and it is considered as a product. Here electrical spark or pressure is known as a reagent because it helps in the process of chemical change. Now, what are the things which help in the process of any chemical reaction? The main important thing is activation energy. Basically, activation energy is minimum amount of internal energy which is required to start any chemical reaction. Understand like this, when we need to perform any work, we have to apply force or pressure. Similarly, when chemical compound wants to undergo into chemical change, they need certain kind of internal energy, and that energy itself is known as a activation energy. Now just discuss our next topic, that is characteristic of chemical reaction. During a chemical reaction, we observe many changes and many kind of things, which is also considered as the characteristic of chemical reaction. So let us start. First characteristic of any chemical reaction is that change in state. In many chemical reactions, you will see that there is a change in state. For example, hydrogen gas reacts with oxygen gas and it gives us two molecules of water. Here hydrogen is present in gaseous form, oxygen is present in gaseous form, but after the reaction, water molecule, we are getting it, which is liquid in state. Second characteristic is that evolution of gas. In many chemical reactions, you will observe that there is a release of different type of gas. The most common example is that we might be observe this thing in our house also. When we heat sodium bicarbonate, which is also known as baking soda, when we heat up, we saw that sodium carbonate will form, water molecule will form. Along with the formation of sodium carbonate and water molecule, carbon dioxide gases get liberated, and due to the liberation of carbon dioxide gas only our cake, muffins, donuts become fluffier in nature. Second example is that even sodium metal, which is solid in nature, react with hydrochloric acid, which is liquid in nature, it will give us sodium chloride along with the hydrogen gas. So there are some reactions in which you will see this kind of changes during the chemical reaction, means liberation of carbon dioxide gas, hydrogen gas and several other gases. Related with that topic only, another characteristic is the change in temperature. In many chemical reactions, we often observe there is a change in temperature. Means in the starting of chemical change, temperature is different, and after the completion of chemical change, temperature is different. For example, dissolution of glucose in water. When we dissolve glucose powder in water, we observe there is a change in temperature. The temperature of glucose solution becomes down, which proves that there is a change in temperature. Second example is that process of photosynthesis. During the process of photosynthesis, heat is taken from sun and plants prepare their food. So in that case also there is a change in temperature. Depend on the change in temperature, there are two type of reaction is there, that is exothermic reaction and endothermic reaction. Exo means outer, thermic means heat energy, endo means inside, thermic means heat energy. So we can define exothermic reaction by this: a type of reaction in which heat is evolved, that is known as a exothermic reaction, and a type of reaction in which heat is absorbed, that is known as a endothermic reaction. You will understand exothermic reaction by above example. When sodium react with half molecule of chlorine gas, it will give us sodium chloride along with 411 kilojoule of energy. So here energy is liberated in a form of heat. So whenever this kind of change is there, where liberation of heat, light and sound is there, so that type of reaction is known as a endothermic reaction. And when carbon dioxide mixed with water molecule in presence of sunlight, it gives us glucose and oxygen gas. This is the example of endothermic reaction. Now our last characteristic is change in color. There are many chemical reactions are there in which you will observe there is a change in the color of product. For example, here when lead nitrate react with potassium iodide, both are colorless in nature. When both undergo in a chemical change, it gives us yellow color precipitate of lead nitrate and potassium nitrate. Basically, precipitate is a solid substance which formed after any chemical reaction, that is known as a precipitate. Next thing we will study in our next video.